Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. So today I want to come back to Matthew Hussey's credit card scheme, or scam, I should say. And it's still going on. I still get messages and comments about it. And to be honest, this is something that's really concerning. If you don't know much of the backstory around the credit card scam, I have several videos about it explaining what's been going on. And yes, as I say, it is still ongoing to this day. Unfortunately, Matthew Hussey has been running some sort of a credit card scam on his website for over a decade at this point, if the reports that I've been seeing are correct. I myself was scammed through this credit card scam on his website. Luckily, through a lot of pushback and kind of assertiveness on my part, I was able to get a refund. A lot of other people who've been scammed in this way have not been so lucky. And I think also for me, one of the saddest parts about all of this, aside from the fact that so many people have lost so much money to this scam, a really sad part about this for me is that this scam is just so little known. It's just not talked about. There's very little awareness or coverage of this scam. In fact, if you look it up online, I think the only sources pretty much that come up are my videos. There's a blog post that covers it quite extensively, and then one or two Reddit comments about it. But no kind of larger media channels have covered this. There aren't any YouTubers talking about this, and this scam at this point is running into probably many, many millions of dollars that has been taken illegally and unwittingly on the customer's part from Matthew Hussey's customers. And so for me, a really sad part about this is because Matthew Hussey continues to enjoy such a good reputation, such a high public profile. Customers think that they can trust him. His fans, his audience think that he's a safe person to buy from. And they don't realize that by inputting their credit card information into his website, that they could get caught up in this scam. Now, I don't have any sort of exact figures about how many people have been affected by this scam, but at this point, if I'm looking at the reviews and the comments and messages I've received and the evidence that I have been able to gather, it just seems like there are thousands of people who've been scammed in this way. So briefly, if I'm going to use my own experience as an example and as a guide, and just based on what I've read from other people, how the scam works is you go onto his website, you buy a sort of a cheaper product. Most of the time it seems to be connected to his $7 ebook. I think it's called Get the Guy or something like that. This is how it happened to me anyway. So you buy the cheap ebook, you input your credit card details, and it takes you through quite a lengthy checkout process. And there's various boxes that you need to tick and untick, but it seems like even if you don't give, and sort of along the way, they ask you if you would like to subscribe to various things. But I've heard from multiple people that they are definitely not agreeing to subscribe to the things that they're being asked about. I know for myself, I certainly didn't agree to subscribe to the things I was being asked to subscribe to during the checkout process. But then you get to the checkout process, you pay for the $7 ebook, which is all you wanted to buy from the very beginning. And then you're shocked to find out when you look at your credit card statement, at a later stage, that you have been signed up to this subscription. Now, in the past, there was some sort of a course that you were being subscribed to. This is what I was charged for, some sort of a course or workshop that Matthew Hussey was running in the past. These days, he's got this subscription program called the Love Life Club, which is like an app on your phone where he and a few other speakers that he hires do sort of workshops and lectures, and they publish blog articles and things like that. but it's always an amount of about $69 a month, or around about like £55, that sort of ballpark figure. And people are subscribed to this subscription without their consent, without their knowledge or permission. And then they try to push back against, by contacting Matthew Hussey's team to say, please unsubscribe me. And they try to get a refund. And a lot of the times they're told that there are no refunds for this subscription. And I actually went and looked in the terms and conditions on Matthew Hussey's website. And yes, his terms and conditions do say that there is no refund possible for the Love Life subscription program. So they're not being given refunds most of the time. And even unsubscribing from the subscription is a difficult process. I've had people tell me they've had to send multiple emails and that it all has to be done within a very short sort of time period and in a particular way, and that they're sort of gaslit and by Matthew Hussey's team along the way, and that there's a lot of rudeness and pushback from Matthew Hussey's staff. And this was certainly my experience when I emailed his team and said, look, I've been subscribed to whatever this is without my permission or consent. I want to be unsubscribed and I would like a refund. I was told that there's no way that could have happened without my consent. I must have agreed to it. And it was several emails back and forth where, as I say, I had to push quite hard to get a refund from them. And yeah, it seems as if the process of giving out refunds for this scam is kind of a bit arbitrary. I've seen some people have been able to get refunds, but many people have said that despite their best efforts, they've not been able to get refunds. So I'm not quite sure how the refunds are doled out or what the sort of thinking is there or what the requirements are that Matthew Hussey's team uses to give refunds, or if it's just completely arbitrary and as they feel like it. But I think the important thing to remember is that this is a scam in the sense that people are not consenting for their credit card to be charged in this way. However, it's being run on his website, and I don't really know technologically how they're getting away with this or what, I don't know the ins and outs and the actual technical details of how the scam is running. But however they are charging people's credit cards, it is without the permission of the customers, and that's what makes it a scam. And then they're gaslighting people afterwards and saying that, well, there's no way that this charge could have been made to their credit card without the customer's permission. But now when you have thousands, hundreds, thousands of people, however many people it is, saying the same thing, that they never wanted this subscription, they never wanted the charge to be taken from their credit card, and it was taken without their permission, then I think it's very clear that the problem is on Matthew Hussey's side. It's on the side of the website. And when this problem has been pointed out to him many, many, many times by many different people who've been very upset about this, and nothing is being done about this, I feel very confident in saying that this is intentional and that this is some sort of scam, because it would have been addressed by now if it weren't. So for me, this is a real problem because Matthew Hussey has a massive audience. Lots of people he has a very big market for his products. Lots of people are sort of scammed very unwittingly, as I say, and feel very they feel very taken in, they feel very kind of blindsided by this scam. And I really think it's important to get the word out and to put pressure on Matthew Hussey to not only shut this scam down, because it's totally wrong and unethical and just quite frankly deplorable behavior for someone like him, but also for him to make amends and to acknowledge some sort of responsibility and to make this right in some way for all the people who've lost money and who have been gaslit about it. But in any case, as one of the very few people who is actually talking about this scam, as I say, I have been contacted by, aside from the reviews that I've read online, and in some of my videos about this scam, I've looked at a lot of those reviews. But aside from those reviews, I've been contacted by a lot of people saying that they've been scammed in this way as well, and thanking me for being basically the only person talking about this scam. Now, I want to just say, I don't want to be the only person talking about this scam. I want other YouTube channels to cover it as well. I would love for bigger channels to pick this story up and to really expose this, and for us to, as a community, put more pressure on Matthew Hussey, and to just kind of send a warning signal out to other dating coaches, because I'm sure that he's not the only one who is scamming his customers. But yeah, so I would just like to ask you if this story kind of moves you in any way, if you feel outraged about this like I do, I'd really like to encourage you to please contact your favorite anti-scam YouTube channels or content creators, and please ask them to cover this issue and to look into it more, and let's help to get the word out and spread awareness, because this just cannot continue. It's horrific. A lot of Matthew Hussey's audience, well, his audience is almost exclusively women. And a lot of these women are, like, just by virtue of the kind of advice that he gives, a lot of them are single women. A lot of them don't have a lot of money and are not very well off. And, for them to be scammed out of this sort of money can really be very detrimental to them. And so for me, it's just really horrific that he's taking advantage of his audience in this way. And so I'd please like to ask you if you could just contact some of your favorite anti-scam channels and ask them to cover this story. I would really appreciate that. I don't want to be the only voice talking about this. I would love us to raise more awareness. But of course, I will continue to talk about this as more information comes to light. But it would be lovely if channels like CoffeeZilla, maybe some of the anti-MLM influencers or channels, or Kiki Chanel, or those sorts of people, it would be lovely if they could cover this issue. I would really, I think that would be really great. Now, I personally have contacted some of these channels about this story, but I haven't heard back. I'm just one person, one tiny YouTube channel, and so I'd really appreciate your help with all of this. So today, just as I suppose, a means of keeping the conversation going, and as a means of showing you, that this scam is still ongoing, and that it is real, and that lots of people are being affected by it, I just wanted to give you a sampling of some of the comments that I've received on my videos about Matthew Hussey's credit card scam, and the comments that I've received of people who have been scammed in this way. And so I just want to point out, first of all, that, as I say, my channel is absolutely tiny, and the views on my videos are small. It's very small numbers that I get on my videos. And so it makes me think, if based on those small numbers, so many people are contacting me about being scammed, it makes me think, how many more people are there out there who haven't even seen my videos, who have been scammed, and maybe, just don't know where to raise their concerns or how to kind of get the word out. But I just wanted to point out that, like, given that my channel is so small, and given that I have been contacted by so many people, just gives you a sense of how many people are probably out there who have experienced this scam, and who haven't come across my content, or or haven't come across this issue being talked about, and maybe don't know that this is actually a bigger issue. So without further ado, let's get into the comments. I have blocked out the people's names. These are comments taken from my videos, but I've blocked out people's names because I don't want to put them on blast. I don't know, necessarily that they probably don't necessarily want their names out there. So we're just going to look at the comments, and as I say, I've blocked out people's names. I've compiled them all into a single document. So I'm going to read each comment and then probably just add in my commentary as we go along. Um, right. So the first comment says, this was a comment I received about 2 weeks ago. They say, "Hi, Dancing Appaloosa. Thank you for being quite literally the only voice speaking about this." Now, yes, I've said, a number of people have said to me that I'm pretty much the only person speaking about this issue, which I find quite sad. This is a really serious issue. Lots of people have lost a lot of money due to this scam. And I would love the voices talking about this to be getting louder so that we can bring awareness to this issue and that we can bring this scam to an end once and for all. You know, the power of kind of us as a collective is really quite extraordinary if we all kind of stand together and hold people accountable. It can be very powerful. I just want to say right out the gate as well, I'm not looking to cancel Matthew Hussey. I know that there are people out there who get benefit from his advice. I personally have issues with some of the things that he says, but I know that not all his advice is bad. And I know that, here and there he is doing good for people, perhaps. As I said, I have my own opinions about that. I don't necessarily think that he is really all that beneficial for women. I think there are a lot of problems with what he's saying, but be that as it may, I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in the freedom of people to say what they want, and I am not looking to cancel Matthew Hussey or to take away his livelihood or to shut him down or anything like that. I'm looking for this scam to end and for him to make amends for this scam that has been going on for so long. So just want to put that out there, right front and center. Anyway, let's continue with the comments. She says, "I had a negative experience too and was also refused a refund. My 1-star Trustpilot review got flagged by Matthew Hussey's team as containing illegal or defamatory content." Now, I've heard this. I've covered the Trustpilot reviews in other videos that I've done about this scam, but I've heard that Trustpilot behind the scenes is sometimes contacted by these businesses, and the businesses will put pressure on Trustpilot sometimes to get reviews taken down if they're negative, or will claim that reviews are defamatory or illegal, or they'll pay off Trustpilot in some way. I've certainly, when I've left negative Trustpilot reviews, I've been contacted. Sometimes I've been contacted by the businesses who have asked me to take reviews down and promised to make things right. So let me know if you guys have had those sorts of experiences, or if you can shed any more light on this whole policy that Trustpilot has for taking down negative reviews, or if you can help me understand how that all works. So the commenter goes on to say, "I just shared my experience. I've disputed it with Trustpilot and had to update the review to make it softer by downplaying the negative effects his advice has had on me so it wouldn't appear defamatory to his company." Well, I think that's really unfortunate that she had to do that. We should be able to be really honest about our experiences so that other customers are, well warned about what to potentially expect, or about the potential negative implications of doing business with someone. So I think that's really unfortunate. So she says, "But I want to be clear. Hussey's Get Your Ex program caused me severe emotional distress, and when I flagged this with the team, which wasn't easy because the only way I could get their attention was to feign interest in the retreat so they'd actually call me, they didn't respond to the emails. My experience was totally dismissed and belittled." I've heard this before. I've heard before that, and I've mentioned it as well, Matthew Hussey's team can be really gaslighty when it comes to people sharing negative experiences that they've had with his products. I've heard this from multiple people. I've seen this in things that I've read online. When they try to raise concerns, they'll be, demeaned or belittled. or their criticisms will be completely dismissed. I think I've even covered some of those in other videos. So I have heard this from other people. And I also think that it's quite sad that she had to kind of pretend to be interested in the retreat for them to contact her. Now, the way that his retreat works is that if you are interested in attending the retreat, you can request a phone call from one of Matthew Hussey's team. And this team member is essentially a very pushy salesperson who's going to try to encourage you to spend as much money as possible on the retreat, and try to convince you that you need to come to the retreat. And the retreat can run anywhere from sort of $5,000 to $6,000, and that only includes the retreat, nothing else. The actual participation in the retreat, nothing else. I believe Matthew Hussey has a retreat coming up soon, or else it might have just passed. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I've heard this as well about, the Matthew Hussey's staff and the way that they treat people. Okay, so it's the comment goes on to say, so she says, I would even go so far as to say that they gaslit me into thinking what I felt I didn't feel. And as I say, I've heard that before. So she says, when I got the call for the retreat, I made it clear that I wasn't interested in the retreat. I was feeling stronger from professional therapy and wanted to share my concerns about the unethical practice MH uses in his sales videos for Get Him Running Back to You, namely encouraging the buyer to neglect her own intuition because she can't trust herself right now. Yeah, so the sales pitch for that Get Him Running Back to You program, which is Matthew Hussey's Get Your Ex Back program, the sales pitch for that is incredibly manipulative and problematic in and of itself. It's still up on the internet. You can go and check it out. If you Google Get Him Running Back to You by Matthew Hussey, you can go and look at the video that Matthew Hussey made to try, to sell that program. And it is incredibly problematic and manipulative. And if you guys are interested, I can do a whole video about that sales video. That's how bad it is. But the whole Get Him Running Back to You program, I haven't obviously done it or, participated in it, but just from the sales video, I can get a sense that it is, extremely problematic and potentially very emotionally damaging to people who might take that program. So, well, kudos to this commenter for highlighting her concerns about it. And I'm so sorry that she was kind of harmed by this program. But this is, a lot of these dating coaches do rely on manipulation, and there's a lot of sort of brainwashing that goes on in these programs. And it can be quite damaging, and a lot of people who are harmed by this sort of advice have to do a lot of deconstruction afterwards. I certainly experienced that myself, so I know that this happens. So to get back to the comments, she says she wanted to share her concerns about the unethical practice MH uses in his sales video for Get Him Running Back to You, namely encouraging the buyer to neglect her own intuition because she can't trust herself right now. And I shared my concerns about a one-size-fits-all program with very little in the way of emotional support inside. H uses strong do-or-die language that puts too much onus on the woman and makes it seem that if it didn't work, there's a problem with you, the consumer, and not him or his advice. The team member I spoke to was not only unkind and dismissive, but actually cruel and snarky in their overly defensive stance of MH and the product. Wow, that's really awful. I'm so sorry that she had that experience. But again, I've heard that from other people, that his team can really be very dismissive, and really quite nasty if you have anything negative to say about the products or the programs. And I've even heard that in the retreat, in the virtual retreat, I read one review by someone who said that Matthew Hussey himself was quite nasty about someone who, didn't seem to be getting the value out of the retreat that was promised. But that's really unfortunate and awful, especially given the price tag on Matthew Hussey's products. They are not cheap. So she ends off by saying, I'm glad you're making waves in this space and wish you all the very best in this mission. I wonder how many more there are out there who are silenced through their own self-doubt to the tune of, it can't be Hussey. He's so charismatic, self-assured, and brilliant. It must be me. Well, that's my concern as well. I'm really concerned that Matthew Hussey has such a huge platform. And in my opinion, he's doing a lot of damage and a lot of harm to people through the scam and also through a lot of manipulative advice and programs that he's putting out there. And I do worry that there are women who are consuming his content and maybe who have been scammed and are, being gaslit or, being made to believe that the problem is with themselves and not with Matthew Hussey. And that because he enjoys such a sort of high profile and he is so kind of charming and confident, and he does present himself as this sort of women's best friend, that he couldn't possibly be the problem. So anyway, that's why I'm here, to help to raise a bit more awareness. So let's move on to the next comment. This comment says, I followed MH for 10 years, from 2012 to 2022. His advice started making me uncomfortable from the beginning, but I felt like something was wrong with me after listening to him, so I continued to follow. I did 2 at-home retreats. I had one of his retreat specialists lash out at me on a call when I was vulnerable about something I was dealing with, even though they encouraged me to be vulnerable. So here we have another example of someone saying that one of Matthew Hussey's team on the retreat was really nasty to her when she shared something she was vulnerable with. As I say, I've heard this before, and I think it's really unfortunate because when people go in for self-help or for advice from a dating coach or, any sort of this sort of setting, people are making themselves very vulnerable. They're putting their issues out there. And, the person running the course or the retreat or putting out the content has to be really, really sensitive and really, really cognizant of the fact that they're holding people's kind of vulnerability and people's hearts in their hands. And it's so important to be empathetic and sensitive and kind. And it's very, very disappointing and extremely concerning to hear that Matthew Hussey's team are behaving this way. So she goes on to say, it was all I could do to keep from crying. I wish I would have hung up the phone and saved $500. MH and team are super nice to people when cameras are rolling for the most part, but different when it's more private. I've also noticed MH tries to train women out of their femininity and tries to make them overly aggressive, kick-ass go-getters. I've noticed that as well, actually. I think Matthew Hussey tries to make people think that if they're in any way kind of reserved or anxious or shy, that there's something wrong with them and that that's the reason why they're not succeeding in their life. And he really, in my opinion, he often gives advice that diminishes people's authentic selves. That's just what I think. And I've spoken about this in other videos. So I do kind of agree with this comment. Then she says, I did have to take breaks from the live at-home retreat because it was making me feel nauseous. To be honest, a few of his tips about confidence have helped me, but most of it took me away from my true self. I'm still trying to get back to my authentic self after listening to so much of his nonsense. Maybe I should copy and paste this onto Trustpilot. I also remember hearing about the credit card scam many years ago. I used to believe it was just because they had a glitch in their system. I haven't listened to him in years and I don't miss him. So just wanted to go back to something she said about some of his tips about confidence were helpful, but most of his advice took her away from her true self. This is where I think the damage is often done is that there is good advice peppered in there. It's kind of not all of Matthew Hussey's advice is bad. In fact, he has plenty of good content. There's some of his stuff that's helped me. And that's why I initially wanted to buy his book, all those years ago when I got scammed. And I initially thought that his advice was great. A lot of it is helpful. But then he slips things in there sort of some of the time that really make you doubt yourself and make you feel not good enough. And unfortunately, this is part of the marketing. It's all to make you feel like you need his products, you need his retreats, you need his help. You need to keep consuming his content in order to be good enough, in order to succeed. It's built into his model of how he coaches. And so I would really like to raise awareness about this. If you are able to take what resonates and helps you from Matthew Hussey's content and leave the rest and not spend too much money on it, well then, that's great and so much the better. But I really just want people to be super cautious about putting all their faith in someone like Matthew Hussey, and just to please take him with a healthy dose of salt, and not share their credit card details with him on his website at least, or at least just be very careful about how you do that. I've had people say that they've used PayPal to pay for things when it comes to Matthew Hussey's products, because that offers like some sort of recourse and it's easier to get a refund that way. So that might be something to look into. So then this commenter posted another comment saying, one more thing. I remember the Love Life Club. They would do live Q&As with MH and sometimes his brother or father and occasionally a special guest. They also did a live once a week called One Great Hour, where MH would talk for a few minutes and then everyone virtually attending was supposed to bring a project of their choice to quietly work on for an hour with the group. Sometimes MH couldn't do One Great Hour and his brother Harry would host it, and it was called One Great Harry, LOL. I remember taking all this so seriously. MH also strongly pressured people to be way more extroverted than what was natural, and if you weren't, he would tell people you're not shy, you're boring. By the way, shy people are not boring. So that Love Life Club was what I was talking about. That seems to be the vehicle for the present day credit card scam, this Love Life Club, which is a subscription program on his website, or it's an app, I think, actually. But really, it seems, from what I can tell, it seems to be a front for this subscription scam where people are just being debited this $69 from their credit card every month in order to belong to this Love Life Club. Now, what she's described there, to me, that doesn't seem worth $69 a month. You can let me know what you think, especially when I think of people sitting there working quietly on their own for an hour. So what, you're paying for someone to just, supervise you while you work on your own for an hour? That's just really strange. And of course, I also completely agree with her. Shy people absolutely are not boring. Shyness is a wonderful quality. It can be a very good thing. It can be very charming and appealing. And if you are a shy person, I just want to be someone to tell you that there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. So let's move on to the next comment. This commenter says, "It is crazy to me that your channel is basically the only thing that comes up when you look up his credit card scams. He must have hired a damn good PR firm, lol. Most of his female audience doesn't know anything about his problematic red pill past either." So I want to talk about this comment as well. So the first thing, that he must have hired a damn good PR firm. I personally believe that Matthew Hussey spends a massive amount of money on PR and marketing. I think that he has someone coaching him exactly how to come across in videos in order to build this trusting relationship with his audience. He has people commenting. Sorry, I'm getting all tongue-tied again. He has people coaching him about his body language, about exactly what to say, about how to say it in order to come across a certain way to his audience. I think he has PR people who look for negative content about him on the internet and get it taken down. I think that this is probably part of why a lot of people are not actually talking about the credit card scam, because it's just not very well known. There's so little information about it on the internet, even though so many people have been affected by it. So I obviously don't have direct evidence to prove that Matthew Hussey spends a lot of money and puts a lot of effort into PR, but I do know that coaches like him and coaches of his size, influencers of his size, do have a huge marketing team a lot of the time. And it wouldn't surprise me. And just based on my research into this, I believe that he does put a lot of effort and money into PR so that a lot of this stuff does not really come to light, which is why I think it's all the more important that us independent content creators here on YouTube and elsewhere do talk about this and raise awareness about it. The second thing that they've mentioned in this comment is about Matthew Hussey's red pill past. Now, I would imagine most of his current audience do not know that Matthew Hussey actually started as a pickup artist coach for men. And you can actually find a little bit of his pickup artist content on YouTube still. Some of it is really, really awful. But he initially started coaching men about how to essentially get women, how to get women to date them and sleep with them and all this sort of thing. And yeah, he used to be a sort of manosphere type dating coach. And then he switched to coaching women and to targeting women, probably because it's a lot more lucrative. There's a much bigger market for it, and probably because he realized that with his good looks and charm and his British accent, he could probably lure in women a lot more easily, or that it would maybe his kind of wiles and ways of coaching would probably work a bit better with women. So yeah, if you're interested though, go look up Matthew Hussey's early content that's geared towards men. It's really crazy. So next comment. This comment says, it's true because there have been several other women who have written on the Trustpilot that Hussey has been flagging them, and lots have been removed that have been negative and factual or true. So I believe this comment was left on one of my videos where I was looking at Trustpilot reviews. And we were looking at a lot of the negative reviews that have been left on Trustpilot that have been talking about people being scammed and having their credit cards charged without their permission. And I was just speculating that Matthew Hussey was kind of working to get those reviews kind of diminished, or kind of trying to overwhelm them with positive 5-star reviews, and trying to make it seem like more people were having positive experiences, and just trying to downplay those negative reviews. So I think that's what this person is referring to. They go on to say, the above person is right. There is even a PR woman, if you search her on LinkedIn, from the Trustpilot, who said she went on 5 retreats. So yeah, there was someone who left a comment on Trustpilot, and I thought at the time it was a fake review, who said she'd gone on Matthew Hussey's retreat 5 times. Now this commenter is saying that this is a PR person for Matthew Hussey, which is really interesting. I haven't looked into that, but that would be interesting to know if that was true, because that would be very fishy indeed. So this person says, at around a $35,000 price tag, you're still single and going to these retreats? Yeah, so the retreats are like $5,000 or $6,000. So going to 5 retreats, that's a lot of money. So they go on to say, yeah, it's fake. He can't hide the fact that he's a scammer. He's done it through several years and to thousands of women. Imagine all the money he's stolen, and there will be very few he has returned money to. So yeah, as I said, a few people have got refunds, but it seems as if the majority of people have not been given refunds and that he hides behind his refund policy, even though people have been charged without their permission or knowledge or consent. Matthew Hussey and his team are hiding behind a refund policy and not giving refunds to most people. So if you just imagine how much money that would amount to at this point, as far as I can tell, it's about 12 or 13 years that he's been running this scam. So a lot of money that's been stolen. Yep. So the next comment says, he took advantage of my now wife. None of the content he had helped her, but traumatized her from all the credit card consistent payments taken for nothing. It was intentional. He used to promote to men, but we will not take this shit, and neither should women with his BS. He only married Audrey as she is kind, so he can manipulate and abuse her, with her allowing it and not being able to do anything about it. Look at her eyes. Her eye bags have been dropping and darker noticeably since he married her. Now, I don't have a clear opinion about Matthew Hussey's marriage to Audrey at this point. I don't really want to speculate without really knowing enough about it. I'm reluctant to, I do have an opinion, but I'm reluctant to give my opinion because I don't want to speculate. I don't know what their relationship is like. I don't know any of the backstory. And as I say, I don't want to say anything that might be, incorrect or out of turn. But it's interesting what this person says about, Audrey being taken advantage of. I just don't know at this point. I don't know enough to have an opinion about that. So let's look at the next comment. This comment says, yes, I've also seen on his Trustpilot, they're deleting reviews from women that I've spoken to, and she is messaged here, but not seeing her comment. There is a PR woman on there who wrote a few fake reviews about going to the retreat 5 times. Who would keep paying $30,000 and still be single? It's fake. I wonder if that's the same commenter as the one before. I'm not sure. But this commenter is saying that they've spoken to women who have had reviews deleted. So I'd be interested to know how Trustpilot works in that respect, and how businesses go about getting reviews deleted, or if that's even possible. So the next comment says, thanks for posting and breaking his scam down. I also unfortunately fell for this, trying to get over $1,000 back for a service I've never used. Yeah, so it's really unfortunate, but this $69 that they charge is a subscription. It's called a subscription scam because it kind of automatically deducts the amount from your credit card every single month. And if you're not someone who pays close attention to your credit card statement, or, perhaps you have quite a high credit card bill, you might not notice that $69 until you've lost quite a bit of money. And in this case, this person lost over $1,000. I'm so sorry that happened to you. But yeah, unfortunately, you're not the only one. Lots of people have had this happen to them. So here's another one. This person says, thank you so much for sharing your story. I was outraged today when I found out I was charged for a subscription I didn't sign up for the past year and a half. Wow, a year and a half. So that would be, gosh, I suppose that's going on like about, what would that be? It's about $800-900. So they go on to say, I bought one ebook and I can say it was the priciest book I've ever bought. I'm always very careful when it comes to online shopping, which made me even angrier that I fell for it. Now I'm in touch with my lawyer to get my money back. Well, I hope your lawyer is able to do something. I really do. Maybe sending a strongly worded letter from your lawyer to Matthew Hussey's team might help to get a refund. I would I would very much hope that that would do something. But just to go back to what she said about buying the ebook, that was exactly how I got caught, and how a lot of people have been caught. They buy the ebook, which is very cheap. It's like $7, and then you get signed up for this subscription. And yeah, and this person, it seems like, lost a lot of money, which is really unfortunate. And then someone replied to this comment to say, were you able to get your money refunded? I was charged over $1,600. Oh no, that's terrible. So yeah, more people being scammed. Here's another one. I've had £54 last month go out of my account to Matthew Hussey. I'm a single mum and I have no idea why, how, and or how to get my money back. I'll listen to the end of your video. Thank you. So this kind of thing really breaks my heart. You know, single women, single mothers who buy a product from Matthew Hussey's website in the hopes that maybe it can help them to meet someone special, and they fall victim to this credit card scam. It's just absolutely heartbreaking. Makes me so angry. And I do have a few email addresses that I've collected over the course of my investigation into this issue, of people you can contact at Matthew Hussey's team. So if anyone does want that contact information, let me know. And I can send it to you, or if you put a comment below this video, I can give you the email addresses that I've got, and you can try to get a refund. If any of you are in this situation and you're trying to get your money back, you can try the email addresses that I've got, and hopefully, I just don't know. It seems like most people aren't getting refunds, but maybe if you contact them and you do what I did and you're very kind of assertive and you push back, then you might be able to get some sort of a refund. But basically, I think what needs to happen is we as a community and we as consumers have got to put more pressure on Matthew Hussey to get the scam shut down. We've got to raise awareness about this. We've got to make him take notice. And so, as I said, if you guys can help me out and contact some of your favorite anti-scam content creators, ask them to put the word out, I would really appreciate that. If you have your own experiences to share with me, please feel free to do so in the comments, or feel free to leave a review on Trustpilot or wherever you feel comfortable leaving your review. Maybe tag Matthew Hussey on social media. That might help as well. But I think we as a collective just need to start raising some noise about this issue so we can get something done. But anyway, thank you guys. Thanks for watching. Thank you for helping me get the word out about this. Thank you for everyone who's left these comments. To everyone who's left these comments, and all the people who've been kind enough to tell me that they appreciate the awareness that I'm raising around this. I really appreciate all of you. So yeah, hopefully we can get this scam shut down in the near future. I'm kind of going to remain optimistic, but I will be here to cover this. As long as this continues to go on, I will keep tabs on it and let you guys know how it goes. So anyway, in the meantime, please be good to yourselves and take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and just be very, very careful about who you do business with on the internet and where you put your credit card details, which sites you give your credit card information to. And I will see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.